Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the Chaifetz Arena. I think that's how you pronounce the name of it. And it was in St. Louis, Missouri. And Dynamite, it was called Road Rager tonight. And this was a very good show tonight. Really enjoyed the show. It was a fun 2 hours. It was better than last week's show, in my opinion. And so much stuff happened. A lot of stuff happened tonight on Dynamite, which I will get to explaining. But we had the hair versus hair match. Ortiz versus Chris Jericho. Warlow ended up taking on these security guards, security staff. Will Ospreay ended up taking on Dax Harwood. We had the qualifying match for the All-Atlantic Championship. Ethan Page versus Miro. Toni Storm ended up taking on Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And the main event was the ladder match for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. The Young Bucks versus the Jurassic Express, which originally Jeff and Matt Hardy were going to be in it, but we all know what happened. Jeff Hardy. But overall, Dynamite was an awesome show tonight. Very good show. In my opinion, this was a 10 out of 10 show. Just absolutely awesome. The wrestling tonight was amazing and awesome. But before I get into the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier today, did another movie hunting video, going to the Salvation Army, picked up 3 DVDs over there. So definitely check out my movie hunting video if you guys haven't seen it yet. And also before I get into the review, I want to mention the big news that came out on Monday, which has been talks here in the pro wrestling world with the news. Basically, you know, with Jeff Hardy. So on Monday, Jeff Hardy was arrested on DUI and other charges that he had on him. So Jeff Hardy was arrested for DUI, alcohol, drugs, a third offense within 10 years. He was driving a car without a license. Jeff Hardy's license was revoked. It was suspended. And he violated restrictions placed on his driver's license. So he was driving without a license. But whose car was he driving? That's what I want to know. Whose car was it? So Jeff Hardy was booked on Monday at 12:45. At the time of the article, he was still in custody. All 3 charges of felony counts. Jeff Hardy was currently being held on a bond that totaled $3,500, which he was released on that. He was eventually released. And Jeff Hardy was scheduled for a court appearance yesterday, but that court appearance was rescheduled. Now Jeff Hardy's hearing is being scheduled after the 4th of July. You know, it's the next day after the 4th of July, July 5th. So that's when Jeff Hardy's hearing is going to be taking place. So it says right here, due to this being Jeff Hardy's 3rd arrest for DUI in the last 10 years under Florida law, he could be looking at up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. Also, there was no word on what Jeff Hardy was under the influence of. There was no report specifying if he was under the influence of alcohol or drugs. We don't know. But Jeff Hardy, we all know Jeff Hardy. He's been in trouble in the past. You know, in 2011, he was arrested for drug trafficking, which led to him serving 10 days in jail. And then he was arrested twice in 2019. One was in July of that year for public intoxication. And then he was arrested in October also of that year while driving while impaired. So those two arrests are the charges that added severity to his DUI. So Jeff Hardy, he's a mess with all this. So also because of Jeff Hardy being arrested on Monday, Tony Khan issued a statement. And the statement ended up saying that we were unable to resume contact with Jeff Hardy this afternoon. Tony Khan's statement read, AEW does not condone Jeff's alleged behavior. We've made it clear to Jeff that we'll assist him in getting treatment for substance abuse issues, which he has indicated that he's open to receiving. In the interim, he is suspended without pay, and he can only return to AEW upon successfully completing treatment and maintaining his sobriety. So, he is suspended without pay, and he will not make a return until he gets the help and he is fully clean and works out his issues. Which, when I think of all this is my thoughts. Jeff Hardy should not even think about wrestling. He should not think about coming back and getting in the ring until he sorts out his problems like this. Also, there is the dash cam footage that was released of Jeff Hardy's arrest. It was released by TMZ. It showed 3 officers pulling their guns out on Jeff Hardy. And the video showed when officers retrieved Jeff Hardy from the driver's seat on a highway. He was questioned about why he had been pulled over. Jeff Hardy was questioned why he was pulled over. And the officer who was in charge, he questioned Jeff Hardy, who was sat on the concrete floor, stating that several 911 calls had been received and that Jeff Hardy's driving was all over the road. Jeff Hardy was ultimately advised to sit on the front of the police car, but as he got up, he stumbled and almost fell back down. As the conversation continued, the former WWE champion disclosed that he had a doctor's appointment coming up for a brain scan. And I'm reading this off of WrestlingInc.com. So Jeff Hardy was then pushed about the smell of alcohol emanating from him, with the 44-year-old stating that he had drank double shots of Fireball. In a different location, which appeared to be a nearby car park, Jeff Hardy underwent a further sobriety evaluation, which ultimately led to him being cuffed and arrested at 9:54 for the offense of DUI. So according to Volcea County records, Jeff Hardy was taken into custody and booked at 12:45, but he was eventually bonded out of jail at 7:07 p.m. by paying $3,500. So, but yeah, Jeff Hardy is a mess with all this. And Warner Media has pulled Jeff Hardy from advertisements and commercials, and even Tony Khan ended up explaining his thoughts, his response on the other Jeff Hardy incident. And he issued a statement on this, and this was the statement. We were unable to resume contact with Jeff Hardy this afternoon. Khan's statement read, AEW does not condone Jeff's alleged behavior. We've made it clear to Jeff that we'll assist him in getting treatment for substance abuse issues, which he has indicated that he's open to receiving. In the interim, he is suspended without pay, and he can only return to AEW upon successfully completing treatment and maintaining his sobriety. So we're not going to be seeing Jeff Hardy for a while. But Jeff Hardy needs to stop thinking about coming back, getting in the ring, and focus more on getting help. He needs to focus more on getting help and changing his life for the better. So that's what he needs to do. He needs to focus on getting help, changing his life for the better, and quit with the alcohol, quit with the drugs, and quit getting, DUIs, and possibly, have your license back. But it says right here, Wrestling Inc. has confirmed that the reason for the delayed response was so that Khan and AEW could make contact with Jeff Hardy before releasing the statement, which, as noted in the statement, occurred earlier this afternoon. So, but Jeff Hardy will be off this Saturday's Triple Mania Triple X Tijuana card, where he was scheduled to team with Matt against Dragon Lee and Jericho. I think that's how you pronounce the name. But Jeff Hardy and Matt, they're scheduled to appear at a wrestling show out here in Staten Island. And it's big time wrestling. And they were supposed to make an appearance there, for autographs or pictures, and they were going to have a match. But possibly that's not going to take place now, with the Hardys being there. I think, with this, they're not going to appear at the show out here. It's an indie show. But that's my thoughts on the whole Jeff Hardy incident here. Jeff Hardy should not return or even think about getting back in the ring until he gets the help, he changes his life for the better, he quits with the alcohol and the drugs, and he could possibly get his license back, and he could fight off his demons. I know fighting off your demons is hard if you're addicted, if you're addicted to drinking, if you're addicted to smoking. It's a tough fight to get to quit all those stuff. But hopefully, Jeff Hardy, I'm praying that he changes his life for the better. He gets over this. No more of him using alcohol. No more of him using drugs. And he could get out of this mess that he has been in for a long while. So we're not going to be seeing Jeff Hardy for a while until he changes his ways and gets the help he needs. So those are my thoughts on the Jeff Hardy thing. And also, Wrestling Inc. on their front page, as of now, there is a video of Jeff Hardy. New video of Jeff Hardy drinking services. New video seems to show Jeff Hardy drinking the night before arrest, which he kept saying, whiskey is my best friend and my worst enemy. So it's a video of Jeff Hardy. So it's on Wrestling Inc.'s front page if you want to go check it out. Also, TMZ has the video of the officer stopping Jeff Hardy, which I haven't seen the video. But hopefully Jeff Hardy makes a big change and gets himself out of this trouble mess that he has been in for a very long while. So, but it sucks. But anyways, let's get right into tonight's Dynamite review of this very good show. Dynamite opened up tonight with Chris Jericho versus Ortiz. Hair versus hair match. The loser loses his hair. And this was a good match, very good match here. The wrestling from Jericho and Ortiz here was very good. So we had Jericho and the Jericho Appreciation Society end up coming out first. And then Ortiz. So the match started off and Ortiz ended up wasting no time. He attacked Jericho. Jericho ended up taking Ortiz down. Jericho ended up going for the lion salt, which Ortiz ended up getting his knees up, and he continued his assault on Jericho. So both Jericho and Ortiz ended up spilling to the outside. Ortiz launched himself into the barricade. Ortiz then ended up sitting Jericho on the barber's chair, which was near the ramp. And he started throwing some punches to Jericho. That led to Jericho falling to the floor. So Ortiz ended up delivering a chop to Jericho in the ring. And then he followed up with a drop kick. Ortiz ended up going for the cover. Jericho kicked out at 2. At this point, Jericho turned the match around, and he started delivering a few shots in the corner to Ortiz. Jericho was looking to go for a hurricanrana from the top rope. Ortiz ended up turning that into a powerbomb, which was awesome. So Ortiz followed up with a diving headbutt, and he ended up going for the cover. Jericho ended up kicking out again. Ortiz ended up trying to hit a dive to the outside. Jericho countered that with an elbow strike. And then Jericho followed up with a suplex from the apron to the floor. So both guys went back inside the ring. Jericho connected with a drop kick before he ended up dumping Ortiz to the outside. So Jericho then ended up distracting Aubrey Edwards. And the rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society ended up taking a few shots at Ortiz. Eddie Kingston then ended up grabbing a chair to make the Jericho Appreciation Society move. Ortiz ended up getting back to the ring, and he ended up going straight into a delayed vertical suplex. So he was throwing hands at Jericho, and then we had Jericho end up connecting with a boot to Ortiz's face. So Ortiz ended up breaking the eyes of Jericho, dropped him from the top turnbuckle straight down to the mat. Ortiz ended up going for the cover, to which Jericho ended up kicking out. Jericho was then looking to go for the walls of Jericho. Ortiz ended up reversing that with a pinfall attempt, and then he hit the DDT on Jericho. So Ortiz went for the cover again, and Jericho ended up kicking out. So Ortiz then ended up going up to the top, and he ended up missing the move, and Jericho ended up hitting the code breaker, and Jericho ended up going for the cover. Ortiz kicked out at 2. Ortiz then ended up attempting the hurricanrana. Jericho ended up blocking that, and he locked in the walls of Jericho on Ortiz. Ortiz ended up getting to the rope, to the bottom rope, and the walls of Jericho had to be broken. And the Jericho Appreciation Society ended up trying to stop Ortiz. Kingston ended up brawling them, ended up brawling the Jericho Appreciation Society, and we saw Santana and Wheeler Yuta end up appearing. And it was getting crazy on the outside there, because you had Kingston, Santana, Wheeler Yuta, and the whole Jericho Appreciation Society. So Aubrey Edwards was distracted. Kingston got into the ring and nailed Jericho with a spinning back fist. So Jericho went down. Ortiz ended up going for the cover, and Jericho ended up kicking out of that. So once again, Aubrey Edwards was distracted by Jake Hager, and out of nowhere, Fuego del Sol, Fuego del Jobber, ended up appearing. And Fuego ended up nailing Ortiz with Jericho's bat, with Floyd. So Jericho then ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Jericho ended up winning the match. So Ortiz ends up losing his hair. So post-match, Fuego ended up taking off his mask. And of course it wasn't Fuego del Sol, it was Sammy Guevara. So Sammy Guevara ended up swerving everybody, thinking that it was Fuego del Sol. Ortiz then ended up taking these scissors, and he started cutting his own hair. And Eddie Kingston got on the mic. He kept saying that Ortiz is a man of his word. So as Ortiz was cutting his hair, he was just screaming out, blood and guts, blood and guts, blood and guts, blood and guts, as he was bleeding a little bit. So, but we're going to get a blood and guts match, with Ortiz in there, and Eddie Kingston, and the Jericho Priest Society. So I guess that's going to be the blood and guts match. So it should be a good one. But anyways, good match from Jericho and Ortiz. And, good swerve, in having Sammy Guevara, in there with the mask. And not Fuego del Sol. But very good match. And then we had Warlow versus 20 security guards, which they were the plaintiffs. It was this whole stupid storyline, in my opinion, with Warlow and Smart Mark Sterling. I don't care for any of this. And I didn't even care for this match. It was just Warlow just annihilating these security guards. Did not care for it. This match sucked. This match was awful. So Warlow ended up just eliminating all these security guards. He ended up placing some of the security guards on top of each other at the end of the match. And there you go. Warlow ended up winning it. Post-match, Warlow ended up grabbing Mark Sterling. Dan Lambert ended up appearing in the skybox with Scorpio Sky. Dan Lambert ended up saying that if Warlow messes with one member of American Top Team, the entire team messes with him. So Dan Lambert ended up claiming that they could come from anywhere. So Dan Lambert ended up showing us 2 UFC legends. Those 2 UFC legends were Matt Hughes and Tyrone Woodley. They were sitting ringside. Dan Lambert ended up telling the both of them to get in the ring and take Warlow out. So Warlow ended up getting on the mic. Warlow ended up pointing out that Hughes and Woodley are from St. Louis. And he thinks they'd be smarter than to take orders from Dan Lambert, as he would guess they're from the same cloth. So they end up sending Mark Sterling. Hughes and Woodley end up sending Mark Sterling into the hands of Warlow, and Warlow end up nailing Mark Sterling with a powerbomb, and that was basically that. But this is the best that you got for Warlow? Really? Just him going in there and laying out security guards. Like, are you serious? Overall, the match fucking sucked. Match was awful. Did not even care for it. And the crowd over there in St. Louis didn't care for this match either. I mean, they were chanting, Warlow, Warlow. But you could tell that they probably all didn't enjoy that match. It did not need to be on the show. It really didn't. There's like AEW dark material there. And then we had Will Ospreay versus Dax Harwood. This was the best match of the night, in my opinion. I want to see more of Will Ospreay on AEW television. The guy is entertaining. He is good in the ring. Very impressive. So I want to see more Will Ospreay on AEW television. So the match started off. We had Harwood and Ospreay end up grappling early in the match. They were looking to gain advantage. Will Ospreay then end up showing his athleticism by hitting a Hurricanrana to drop Dax Harwood. Ospreay ended up following up with a few chops in the corner to Harwood. Harwood ended up coming back, nailed his own chop to Ospreay, which dropped Ospreay to the floor. He followed it up with a suplex and a leg drop combination on Ospreay. Harwood then ended up launching Ospreay with a back body drop, and he followed that back body drop up with an elbow strike. And so Harwood and Ospreay ended up on the apron. Harwood was just throwing some more chops at Ospreay. Ospreay ended up sliding underneath Harwood. He ended up pulling Harwood's leg, and it got him stuck in between the ring apron. And he ended up then drop kicking Harwood into the ring steps. So they went back to the ring. Ospreay ended up sending Harwood into the turnbuckles, and he ended up going for the cover. Harwood ended up kicking out too. Ospreay ended up blocking the abdominal stretch, and Harwood ended up getting out of the abdominal stretch with a hip toss. Ospreay then ended up handspringing back from the ropes. He got caught in midair by Harwood, because Harwood ended up hitting 5 German suplexes to Ospreay, which was crazy. I mean, 5 German suplexes. Harwood then ended up hitting a 6th German suplex, which sent Ospreay flying across the ring. Later on, we had Ospreay end up trying to go for the Oz Cutter twice, and Harwood ended up pulling him back. Harwood ended up looking to go for a springboard powerbomb, and Ospreay ended up blocking it. So at the end of the match, we had both Ospreay and Harwood. They were trading back and forth strikes. Harwood ended up getting the best of it with a lariat to Ospreay. Ospreay then ended up coming back, ended up hitting the Liger Bomb, and it didn't do anything for Harwood. And so Ospreay ended up following up with the Oz Cutter. He ended up going for the cover, to which Harwood ended up kicking out. And then Will Ospreay ended up hitting the Hidden Blade on Harwood, and he ended up going for the cover. So Will Ospreay ended up winning the match. Post-match, the rest of the United Empire ended up coming out. You had Cash Wheeler and Roppongi Vice ended up coming down. Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta. So ended up coming down, and Orange Cassidy ended up making his return. Orange Cassidy ended up making his way out. He got into the ring. Him and Will Ospreay ended up having a face down. And pretty much that was basically that. But overall, Will Ospreay versus Dax Harwood, the best match of the night, in my opinion. Both guys gave it all they got in this match. It was good wrestling here. So then we had Moxley and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Moxley ended up making his way out first, and then Hiroshi Tanahashi then ended up making his way out. Moxley ended up saying that he has been chasing Tanahashi for a long time, and finally he's here in all his glory. Moxley ended up saying that he has chased him across Japan and across the Pacific. Everything he has done in New Japan has been about him. Moxley ended up saying that there's only one man people called Ace, but not for long. Moxley ended up saying that Tanahashi deserves respect. But right now, Moxley ended up saying that he is the best wrestler on the planet, and that lots of people are pretending, but he lives it. Moxley ended up saying that there is more on the line than the AEW World Championship, as everything is on the line for him, that he has worked for 3 years. Moxley ended up saying that Tanahashi's busted knees and life are on the line. He ended up saying that at Forbidden Door, Tanahashi will call him Ace. So Tanahashi ended up getting on the mic. Jericho Tanahashi ended up getting on the mic, And then Chris Jericho ended up appearing. Chris Jericho came out along with Tay Conti and Sammy Guevara. Jericho ended up saying that the only reason Moxley is in the ring is because he wasn't here last week. Jericho ended up saying that if he doesn't walk away right now, he will burn him in the eye because he's a wizard. So Jericho ended up pointing out the last time he saw Tanahashi, he beat him. So Tanahashi ended up telling Jericho to shut up. And then we see Lance Archer and Desperado end up attacking both Moxley and Tanahashi. And then Jericho Appreciation Society end up getting involved. So the Jericho Appreciation Society end up coming out because Jericho called them out. So Jericho then end up introducing the newest members of the JAS. And those newest members are Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti. Jericho ended up saying that Lance Archer and Desperado are here on loan from Minoru Suzuki. So Jericho ended up saying that at Forbidden Door, it will be him, Guevara, and Suzuki versus Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Shooter Umino. I think that's how you pronounce the name. So then we had Eddie Kingston, Ortiz, who is now bald, and also Wheeler Yuta end up coming down, and we got a brawl ensue, and pretty much that was basically that. So we're going to be getting that match at Forbidden Door. Jericho, Guevara, and Suzuki versus Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Shooter Umino. So that should be a good match there. Forbidden Door is shaping up to be a good show and a stacked card. You know, it's going to be AEW and New Japan. So then we had a little video package showcasing Darby Allin and Bobby Fish discussing their upcoming match. So we saw that. And then we had Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was interviewing Toni Storm, and she kept saying that Britt Baker is intelligent, but even she wouldn't play the stupid games that she has. Toni Storm went on to say that she has the skill list of a champion, and she's going to take the division to where it should be. So pretty much that was basically what Toni Storm had to say. And then we had Ethan Page versus Miro. All-Atlantic Championship qualifying match. This was an enjoyable match. Very good match. Ethan Page ended up coming out along with Dan Lambert. And then Miro ended up coming out. Ethan Page was playing mind games with Miro. He was leaving the ring. When he got back in, he was able to attack Miro. He started working on Miro's arm. Miro ended up coming back with a lariat to Ethan Page. And we had both guys end up spilling to the outside. Miro was continuing to work on Ethan Page. Page ended up turning things around, and he had the official distracted. Dan Lambert ended up getting a shot in on Miro. And Miro ended up not liking that. He ended up hitting a huge drop kick. Miro then ended up chasing Dan Lambert outside the ring, which allowed Page to dive off the ring apron with a shoulder tackle. So we have Miro end up turning the match around by sending Ethan Page across the ring. Miro ended up locking Page on the top ropes. He ended up hitting some blows to Ethan Page's chest. Page ended up grabbing Miro's arms, started yanking it down over the top rope. So Page ended up following with a cutter to Miro. Miro ended up firing up, launching Page around the ring. He ended up nailing a leg lariat to Paige to gain control of the match. Miro then ended up punching Dan Lambert off the ring apron, and Miro ended up following up with a super kick to Paige's face. And then Miro locked in the game over, to which Ethan Page immediately tapped out. So Miro ended up winning the match. Miro is moving on in the All-Atlantic Championship match to crown the All-Atlantic Champion. So, but Miro needed the win. It was predictable. I even knew before going into this match when I saw it was announced, I'm like, oh, they're going to give it to Miro. And Miro rightfully deserves to move on. And who knows? Miro might be the one to win the all-new All-Atlantic Championship. Which I sense that's going to happen. I sense Miro is going to be the first ever All-Atlantic Champion. And then we had Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Toni Storm. Very good match here. Britt Baker and Toni Storm, these two are very talented. The wrestling from them was good. Britt Baker ended up making her way out first. She ended up coming out accompanied by Rebel and Jamie Hayter. And then Toni Storm ended up making her way out. Toni Storm started swinging away with some punches to Britt Baker. And it forced Britt Baker to retreat to the outside. And Toni Storm started continuing the attack on Britt Baker. Britt Baker ended up turning things around. Ended up sending Toni Storm into the ring post. Then we had Rebel and Jamie Hayter end up attacking Toni Storm, which allowed Britt Baker to attack Toni Storm from behind. And there was a point here where Britt Baker was playing possum at first here. So Britt Baker ended up trying to get back into the ring. Toni Storm ended up pulling Britt Baker's legs. So she ended up hitting the apron. As soon as they came back into the ring, Toni Storm ended up hitting a top rope crossbody. Britt Baker ended up distracting the official, so Jamie Hayter and Rebel could attack Toni Storm. And then Thunder Rosa ended up coming out. Thunder Rosa ended up chasing Jamie Hayter to the back. So we had the point where Britt Baker was playing possum was Britt Baker ended up grabbing hold of the rope, and it looked like she was legitimately hurt. And that was at the point where Britt Baker was playing possum, and she ended up getting a roll-up on Toni Storm, but Toni Storm ended up kicking out. Britt Baker followed up with a swinging neck breaker, and she ended up going for the cover, to which Toni Storm ended up kicking out. Britt Baker then was going for a lockjaw, and Toni Storm ended up managing to hit a German suplex. And then she hit the Storm Zero. She ended up going for the cover on Baker. So there you go. Toni Storm ended up winning the match. Post-match, Thunder Rosa ended up coming out. She was pointing at Toni Storm. And that was basically that. But overall, good match from Toni Storm and the Doctor, Britt Baker, DMD, the dentist. And Thunder Rosa was in the news. Apparently, they said that, Thunder Rosa was sandbagging Marina Shafir. I don't believe that news. I really don't. How are you going to blame Thunder Rosa for sandbagging Marina Shafir? That match was horrible last week. That match fucking sucked. And Thunder Rosa carried Marina Shafir all through that match. So don't tell me, Thunder Rosa was sandbagging Marina Shafir. And even Thunder Rosa came out and denied the accusations. But watch the match, and you'll see Thunder Rosa carrying Maria Shafir all the way through. Match was fucking shit. That match was fucking awful. Moving on. Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was backstage with Stokely Hathaway. Stokely Hathaway ended up telling Tony Schiavone that he will be making his commentary debut this Friday on Rampage. And also on Rampage, we will see an open challenge for the TBS Championship. So Jay Cargill defending the TBS Championship Friday on Rampage. So Will Nightingale end up appearing. Will Nightingale end up saying that she's trying to prove herself. So Friday on Rampage, she ended up telling Stokely Hathaway that she wants a shot at Jay Cargill for the TBS Championship. And so Stokely Hathaway ended up telling Nightingale that he will see her then. So there you go. I guess we got the match for Rampage Friday. Will Nightingale versus Jay Cargill TBS Championship on the line. We all know Jay Cargill's retained the title. And then we saw Hangman and Page. Page ended up coming out. He got on the mic. He ended up saying last week he called his shot by calling out Kazuchika Okada for a shot at the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. He ended up saying, as an occasional dumbass, he didn't think about the fact he might not be champion. And this past weekend, he lost the title. Page ended up saying that the sentiment hasn't changed, and the challenge still stands. Adam Cole ended up appearing. Adam Cole came out. He ended up telling Page that he won't challenge for the title. And if anybody will be him. So, he ended up saying Forbidden Door isn't about AEW or New Japan. It's about the Undisputed Elite and the Bullet Club. Adam Cole ended up saying that the best way to showcase that is for him to face Jay White. Adam Cole ended up claiming that Okada won't be at Forbidden Door. But Adam Cole was like, oh, there is someone who wants to say hello. So Jay White ended up coming out. He ended up in the ring behind Page. He ended up hitting the Blade Runner on Page. So Jay White got on the mic. He ended up saying that he is the catalyst of professional wrestling. He ended up asking Page why he thinks he calls the shots. Because he can't be CM Punk. So Jay White ended up pointing out that he is 2-0 in singles matches against him. He ended up saying that if he's putting his title on the line at Forbidden Door, it won't be against Page. So Jay White ended up saying that it won't be against Adam Cole either. He ended up saying that he holds the prize and the power. He ended up saying that the world breathes with the Switchblade, as it is his era. So who will Jay White face? We'll just have to wait and see. Main event. The ladder match, AEW World Tag Team Championship on the line, Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick. And you all know originally this was supposed to have the Hardys in it. They were supposed to have Jeff and Matt Hardy in it, but of course Jeff Hardy getting arrested with the DUI. It was just the Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks. And this was a very entertaining match. Very good match. Luchasaurus ended up looking to go for a ladder early. And he ended up getting nailed by a dropkick from Matt Jackson. Jungle Boy then ended up wiping him out. Matt Jackson ended up trying to climb the ladder that was already set in the ring. He was trying to take out Luchasaurus. But he ended up bouncing up on the top rope. And then he ended up sending Nick Jackson, Luchasaurus ended up sending Nick Jackson fly out of the ring. Jungle Boy and Matt Jackson end up scaling to the top of the ladder. Jungle Boy ended up getting taken down. And Luchasaurus ended up coming in. He ended up getting taken down with some strikes. So we had Luchasaurus end up trying to climb the ladder. And the Bucks end up cutting him off. They end up dropping Luchasaurus face first onto the lower rung. Jungle Boy then ended up getting sent into a ladder in the corner. He ended up running up it, bounced off the ropes to hit a double crossbody to the Young Bucks. Matt ended up coming in with some suplexes. He ended up sending Jungle Boy into the ladder. So we had the Bucks end up sending Jungle Boy on a ladder that was balanced on the middle ropes. Nick ended up hitting Jungle Boy with the senton. So Jungle Boy ended up responding with, fight, and he ended up springboarding towards the Bucks. They ended up nailing a double super kick. So Nick Jackson ended up getting choke slammed onto a ladder. And at the end of the match, we had Luchasaurus end up having his hands on the titles. The Bucks end up pushing the ladder, and Luchasaurus end up crashing through the 4 tables that were on the outside, which was crazy. So we had the Young Bucks end up going up the ladder. They nailed Jungle Boy with the BT trigger before they went up the ladder. So the Bucks end up scaling up the ladder, and they retrieved the AEW World Tag Team Championship. So there you go. The Young Bucks are your new AEW World Tag Team Champions. They are 2-time AEW World Tag Team Champions. Post-match, Christian Cage ended up coming in to check on Jungle Boy. And Christian ended up dropping Jungle Boy with the kill switch. So Christian ended up getting out of the ring. He ended up getting 2 chairs. So, of course, Christian delivered the chair to Jungle Boy on his head. He did it just like his best friend Edge. So he learned from him. And pretty much that was basically how Dynamite went off the air. Overall, this match between Jurassic Express and the Bucks, the ladder match for the titles, it was an awesome match. But that was Dynamite tonight. Road Rager for Dynamite. Very good show, very entertaining, and very enjoyable. But anyways, that's it for my review of AEW Dynamite. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until next video, I'll see you all later.